All right, everybody, welcome back to the Raw Grass Podcast. I'm excited here today. We have two ladies here, and it's going to get very interesting. And yeah, let's just hop right into it because I've been told I can kind of go in and out and around things like get to the point. I'm like, okay, let's get to the point. All right, so we have Lauren and Rocio here.
Hello.
Hello. So, yeah, house and all that kind of stuff. House, school, work, like how you eat and all that kind of stuff is what we're gonna hop into because I think nowadays, you know, how we eat and how we see certain things, see certain people, how we think is a big deal. You know, if at work you're stressed out or if you're, I guess, stressed out in life. Oh, I gotta pay bills. I gotta pay for the car, you know, all this kind of stuff. So I just wanted to get their input. And first of all, thank you so much for, you know, having me here. I'm not sure if I'm the first man to be in here.
No.
No. Okay. So, yeah.
We got Crescent already, sorry.
Oh, see? So this is going to be interesting. Her mom, if you're watching, or brothers. Well, they probably know. So, guys. Yeah. Again, it's going to get interesting. So, let's just kind of start back first with the house. So, for a while, you were saying, you know, you're like, oh, I want to have a house. I want to not be at my mom's house for forever. So, how did that work out for you?
For me, I think my goal was to buy my own house by 35. So I first moved out when I was 25, 26, I think, in my 2 relationships ago.
2 relationships?
2 relationships.
You've been busy.
Mistakes were being made, but we learned from them.
Yeah, hopefully you learned from them.
So I ended up moving out with my ex, so we got an apartment together, but I was only out of the house for 6 months, and then I ended up coming back home because he had a child, and for him it was easier to keep it, and so I just decided to take all my stuff and leave. So then from that point forward, my goal was to be out in like 6 months to a year, like to have my own place. That ended up turning to like 4 years. So then I was like, well, instead of me renting, I'd rather buy, because why am I going to pay someone else's mortgage? Why am I going to let somebody else kind of benefit from my hard working money?
Mm-hmm.
So I decided, okay, well, what are the steps I need to learn by? So I still had my student loan, I had my car payment, I had some credit card debt. So I was like, right, what are the steps that I need to take so I could purchase a house?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the thing that really like fuels me to get my own house was the last relationship I was in. There was a lot of doubt. There was a lot of things that
they're all stepping stones.
I know, they're all stepping stones
to be achieved.
Yes, but he had just a lot of doubt in me. There was just a lot of competition between us. There was a lot of things that he didn't believe that I can do, and for him, he was like, "You're never going to be able to own your own house." So I was like, "Watch me." So I went to the bank and I asked him, "What are the steps I need to do to buy a house?" And so they told me. So I said, "All right." I was like, "Give me a year." And so within the year, I paid off all my debt. I saved money. I ended up finding my realtors, which were my best friends, and they just got into the realting. And I said, all right, let's do it. And at the time we were looking last year, that's when the interest rates were really low, but the house market was too high. And it was just me doing it by myself. So I had no one else to depend on. I had to just depend on myself. So I was like, okay, well, we can't afford these $600,000 houses. So I was like, we're going to live in a shack. So I was like, okay, we just got to be patient. Like, we'll just keep stacking, just keep stacking. And then last year in October, we ended up finding this spot that we're in now. And the moment we walked in, and everyone said, the moment you walk in your house, you're going to know. And I was like, will you? The moment we walked in, I'm like, oh, this is it. This is it.
It had a really great vibe.
Yes.
So, calling our names.
Yes, absolutely. The moment I was like, oh my gosh, like for this being my first house, like I don't have to do much work to it. It's already kind of turnkey. I mean, there's little things here and there that didn't really make it turnkey, but the foundation was pretty much good to go. So I said, perfect. So I was like, and it was in my price range. And I was like, all right, I was like, let's get it done. Let's put a bid in. And so we did it. And it took a little bit of work. We ended up getting it. But then that's when I ended up pulling out. I pulled out before, like a week before I ended up confirming the purchase. because the seller was kind of being difficult of things and he wanted to have all these requirements. And then I was just like, you know what, like, you're just making this difficult. Like, you need my money. I don't really need your house. So,
Oof.
so I pulled out. And the moment I pulled out, then he wanted to give everything. So I was like, don't undermine me. Like, this is my first house. I want to make sure that I'm getting what I deserve as well. So we're both trying to help each other out. And it was a short close. We did it in 21 days.
Yeah.
So it was a super short, like, so
a
I
really
was trying
fast
to meet him
process.
halfway, but he wasn't trying to meet me halfway. So I was like, you need my money. I don't need this house. Like, there's other houses. So
Yeah, that's, I'm not sure how it works. That if you are, I guess, out there and you got somebody, or if you're trying to sell your house and you're playing games like that, you're lame. So, you know, it's like, hey, house, money. Hey, and then go buy other houses, right? But how is it for you, Rocio?
It's been great. It was a really fast process, especially like in the beginning of like the holiday season. But so far it's been great. And I mean, I've been living with my parents for the past couple years. A long couple years, I'm not gonna lie. Since the last, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, ever since the pandemic too, I started working from home. So that was like a struggle, not only like living in a full house, but being confined to your room, you know, your sleep area and your work area. So when, you know, we came across this process, she was going through it and everything like that. And I was, of course, I jumped on it. Like, I'm going to be here. I'm your right-hand woman. Best friend, sister, soulmate.
That's awesome. So how long?
18 years?
Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah, we've been
That's-
together for a long time.
That's awesome. And you don't have any kind of button heads. No, you can't have this person over, or is it just like, hey, I'm sleeping? Well, I know for you, you're out and about. You're out there. You're doing things like getting toasted. I'm like, no.
She lives her best life.
Yeah.
there we go.
I mean, you only have one life to live. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
happy.
So she's not having kids, you know? Like,
Yeah.
so it's just like, well,
You know, I'm by myself. Like, I could essentially do whatever I want.
Yeah.
You know, within means, obviously.
Yeah.
But especially, you know, being her partner in this whole journey. Like, obviously, I had to confine and, you know, limit back. But it's been great. Honestly, it's a peace of mind. My sleep and work area are completely different.
Yeah.
It feels good to be back on my own again, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
After several years.
yes.
Still living life, though. You gotta live life, but...
That's so cool.
It's been great.
So like what certain things for whoever's out there, they're like, oh, I don't want to buy a house, I want to wait, or I want to save up. Like, how did you get over that of like, oh, I have to save, pay off all your debt, and then start to actually be like, oh, I want to look towards the future?
Yeah, like you said, I think it is important to pay off debt first because you'll live in a world of debt. And you're always going to have debt, but you have to look at it as, is it good debt or bad debt? And when you invest in a house, that's going to be good debt. Like, yeah, do you have that mortgage over you for 30 years? Yes, you do. But then when you think of it, you're like, it's an investment, so I can either sell it, I can rent it, I can keep it. It could be my retirement home. Like, at that point, now you're in the game to play. So now you're in the game to want to be better, do better. And so there's really never a good time to buy. Everyone always trying to wait for that right moment, and there's never going to be that right moment. There's always either going to be interest rates high, prices low, maybe sometimes they'll come together at the same time, but to time the market perfectly, you're never going to do that. So I honestly didn't save, like, everyone's like, oh, you should save, you know, at least like 10%. And I was like, okay, we're not doing that. If I do that, we're going to never move out. So I was like, so I barely had the 3%, and I know that's kind of like an option people don't really like to do, but if you end up finding like the right people, it ends up working out. So even though you kind of don't have that coverage, it's going to be covered elsewhere, like in different things when you kind of end up doing like escrow and whatnot. So it all ends up working out. Because I was getting scared when we started doing numbers, and then the numbers were becoming more real. I'm like,
You're like, bro.
ooh, I was like, it's not what I was expecting. And my goal was not to be mortgage poor. I didn't want to work just for my house, because I was like, I got to a place to where I liked having my money. I was good. You know, I have a good career, but at the same time, I like to go play. And so I didn't want to throw everything into my house to now I'm just working all these hours just so I could pay my house. And I can't even enjoy being in my house because I'm outside working. So I wanted to make sure I had that balance to where I was comfortable paying my mortgage, but at the same time, I'm still able to have things that I'm able to do or just, you know, live life. So.
Yeah, that's super smart. I didn't even think about that. We're in a small little apartment. Yay. And what, we're paying $18 a month right now? So I'm sure I'm sure here you pay a bit more, but it's like how you're saying you own something. It's not like, hey, here's my life every month. It's like, oh, I get to keep some of it. It's awesome. So for you, so at the point where she was like, hey, I got an option to kind of be out, you were like, let's jump in this.
Let's go. Yeah. Of course, yeah, definitely. And, I wouldn't say I'm the most reliable. I like to think I'm reliable, and we know each other. We've known each other for 18 years, so I think it was a no-brainer, basically.
Right. And everyone was kind of nervous because they're like, oh, don't move in with your best friend.
Yeah,
it's going to ruin the relationship. But I think because we've known each other for so long, we know each other's pet peeves. We know how to get on each other's skins. We know, like, the do's and the don'ts. So, and we respect each other. So because we respect each other, that's what we really like. That's why this works. It's just like it's a working relationship.
Yeah. I think the major key point is respect.
Yeah.
You gotta have respect in anything and everything that you do.
Right.
And it just flows.
Huh. Yeah, that is cool because I've heard of certain people like, oh, hey, I want to do a house with like a friend, this friend, and whoever, and they just butt heads. Hey, you don't do the dishes. Your socks are on the ground, bro. You're gross. You know. So yeah, that makes sense, and here it works, which is super. I would say it's rare.
Yeah.
Rare nowadays.
It really is.
Well, I think for me, because I have like OCD about certain things, and I'm like a clean freak, and so I wouldn't have asked her to move in, like if I knew she was like dirty, like it would have not worked out. But like I said, we've thrown so many parties together. We've
here?
had no,
not yet.
Oh, I'm like,
not
No,
yet.
just kidding.
I had it first on New Year's. No, we just had like we've thrown so many parties together, like at the houses. We've got so many Airbnbs together, so. We just know how to function. Like once we kind of see where each one is doing, we're like, okay, let's go behind you, and like I got you, I know what you're doing. So that's why it just works. So if, like I said, if I didn't know like she was not reliable, she wasn't financially stable, if she was dirty, like she would not have been asked. Like you cannot come. You can come
still
visit.
be home.
Yeah.
You're like, you can sleep on the couch, maybe.
Maybe once a week.
Oh my gosh. So let's hop into work and school. So for you had to, I guess, be in school for a certain amount of years. You work on teeth. You're a
dental hygienist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and you won't kind of do certain things. So all you kind of like you just kind of like, hey, open wide. You're gross, and then you're like, bro, you need some work done, or. Yeah, how do you? So
legally, I'm not allowed to diagnose. Like
legally,
I can tell when like, oh, you need a cavity, or you have a cavity, or you need a crown, or let's extract that bad boy because it's just a no go.
It's black.
Yeah,
Okay.
like there's like a big hole. You should be concerned. But I legally can't do any of that. I'm kind of just like a oral health specialist, so I just make sure everyone's oral health is up to par, making sure. I do their cleanings. I do deep cleanings. I can do injections.
Injections too?
Yeah. I honestly was going to quit hygiene school because I did not know we had to do injections because I hate shots. So I was like, oh, I have to give these to other people? There's no way. I can't do it. Yeah. And I was already halfway through, and I was like, I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? Because this is $120,000 I'm spending on here, so I can't just abort it.
You owe that now?
No, I paid it off, but
120. Hear that? Shoot!
Literally, probably one of the only people.
Yeah.
Not a small percentage.
Yeah. So I kind of didn't have a choice to not finish because I'm like, we dropped so much money, so we have to finish because who's gonna have to pay back me? So it's either have a degree or no degree. So I was like, well.
Shit, I'm still tripping on 120.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
But so that's what I do. So yeah, I took about a total of 5 years of school. Went to community college and then transferred and then went to the hygiene program. So that was about 2.5 years, and I've been in the career now for 7 years.
How do you like it?
I love it. I really love it. At first I was kind of like, maybe I picked the wrong career. Only because I didn't realize that I didn't know how to talk to people properly, or I didn't know how to approach
Open
people.
up.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, And then I didn't want to hurt people's feelings, but so I wouldn't tell them stuff. But I'm like, no, my job is to be an educator. Like my job is to make sure like you are, flossing properly or brushing properly. What products are you using? Or you sure you floss? Let's
like,
why don't you demonstrate?
Your shit's bleeding. Your
gums are screaming at me. Like we should address this. So it was just like I had to tell myself, like, you're not being mean, you're doing what's best for your patient, you're doing what's best for their health, and maybe they're not going to like you at that moment, or whatever the case be. But I was like, that's my job and that's what I need to do. So I had to
You're like, I'm being real with you.
Yeah.
Rocio.
Me?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I did some college. Of course I did. I started off at the Fashion Institute, did 2 years there.
Oh, you wanted to be like a...
visual communications. More so like stylists or like floor plans and stuff like that. It didn't work out.
But you got a degree.
I did get a degree. I got a degree.
Job. Good job.
It's something.
I got that paper.
Is it paid off like hers? No. So that's still there. So next. And then
Uncle Biden.
Let's go Biden. Let's get it all relieved. I was kidding. I'm not gonna jump into politics. Not jumping into politics. Ooh, this would be okay.
And then I'm a pharmacy technician, and I did a program through MSJC, which was like a Saturday for like 6 months. And I work for a closed door pharmacy, CVS specialty, and it's like a call center, and it's not too bad. And then been working from home for like 2.5 years, almost 3 actually, ever since the pandemic.
Yay!
So
Corona.
Right. So I love it. I have no issue with it. It's a satisfying job,
So mainly, if you just gotta sit there and be like, hey, I want this pill, this pill, this pill, this pill, and I'm like, oh, you're a drug dealer, but you can do it legally.
Yes.
Practically.
Yes. We deal with specialty medication, so we don't deal with like much like narcotics and stuff like that. We do the specific diagnosis like osteoporosis, rheumatoid arthritis, there's like growth hormone, there's hemophilia patients.
Right now. That's hurting me.
Yeah, stuff like that. So I know when people ask me, they're like, oh, you deal with like you deal with the drugs, huh? And I'm like, no, I deal with specialty medications. And they're like, oh.
You're like, I don't like you anymore. Never mind. That's crazy.
But, yeah, no, I do scheduling, fix claims, insurance claims, and stuff like that.
So you're the person people get heated at. Oh, I put my insurance in there, but yet you have this insurance and you don't know about it, and you're like,
not so much. Not so much. My core role, like basically, I'm off the phone, so it's not like I'm not taking inbound calls constantly. I'm making that outbound call or that outreach to the patient, whether it's scheduling for their medication, fixing an insurance issue, claim issue, missing medication, stuff like that. Yeah, it can be delayed, but stuff like that. They don't get too crazy unless their copay is ridiculous. Which with specialty medications they are.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even want to think about that right now.
Yeah.
That's no joke. Well, I know earlier you about work and stuff. You're like, I don't like it. You were saying how much you get paid per hour is not worth it. Oh no, you don't have insurance.
Right. So you would think because you're in the healthcare.
Yeah,
that
I would
you
assume
get
like, hey,
benefits.
Hey, homie, like I gotta something happen.
So it's weird. So with nursing, like and people like that, they get the hookups. They get their own month first of all, right? Like in nursing month, they get all these discounts.
Shit, like I'm sick, fix me.
So we're like the nursing of like dental, but a lot of like hygienists, we don't get the recognition we deserve. So I have to pay for my own health insurance. I don't get any benefits. I don't get sick pay. I don't get vacation pay.
You don't get sick pay?
I don't get vacation pay. None of that. So even though everyone's like, oh, you make a lot of money, I'm like, well, in reality, once we break it down, like I really make the same as like the next person because I don't get any benefits. So that's the kind of, and the only time you would get benefits if you're a dental hygienist is if you work for corporate. But when you work for corporate, it's like you sell your soul and everyone's cattle and they don't care about the patients. And I can't do that. I'm like, I have too much integrity to do. That's why I didn't get in this field. So I'm like, I'd rather just, not have benefits. So.
No, that's not smart.
No.
So, at what point were you, either at work or even before that in school, were you kind of like, hey, do I get anything benefits or
It wasn't
after,
until I got into the working field, because in school I just assumed, oh, we're taken care of, we're good, like, everyone's ever gonna be fine.
That's
and then
a
I was
setup.
like, it was a setup. Yeah, no one informed us. Oh, by the way, majority of offices are not gonna offer you, 401k, health
bro, you
benefits,
guys
vacation pay.
have to hook them up because I'm pretty sure you guys have to inspect some nasty ass mouths.
Yeah. Do you have any blood boogers that get thrown at me?
A what? A blood booger? What is that?
I tell her all the time.
So
And I'm like,
gross.
oh, on my face shows, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, when you're flossing somebody and then just blood little thing comes up, and then it's just like, there it is in your face. And you're like,
So
"Whoa."
gross.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And that's what everyone says, the nurses, I'm like, we have to deal with a lot of stuff. And then a lot of the patients want to be babies. Like, I understand when people have dental anxiety, I get it. I make sure they're taken
Shots.
care of.
I had.
No, like I said, I was going to quit the field because I had to give injections. But sometimes what happens is a lot of people have child trauma with the dentist, so they never want to go. The only time they will go is if there's an issue. And a lot of the dentists are rough or they just don't care.
Yeah.
They're just like, I'm just trying to get a paycheck, so suck it up and we're going. But luckily the doctors I work for, they're very, very gentle with you. If whatever you need, if we need to have 20 appointments with you, then we'll do 20 appointments. We just want to make sure you're taken care of. But yeah, not a lot of the patients like to tell us how they want it. I'm like, oh, okay. Then we'll just do what you want.
Have you been told you like I'm not like I'm not sure if we speak slow or you just
Talk
speak
fast. I do.
Or are you the nervous like?
So when I get excited, nervous, or passionate, I really tend to talk. I literally get told this a lot.
I have no idea what I'm doing. So just FYI. Yeah, because you're going. I'm like, hey, you need to slow it down for the.
No, I know. I do that a lot.
No,
I do that a lot. Yeah. No, I really do. I got told so many times. Like, you speak so. Even my patients, I'm like, oh. So I try to slow it down. Then I feel like
they're
I'm
like,
yelling.
you're like, bro. No, but at the same time, that's awesome because up top, how do you up top? Do you speak and think? Is it just it just comes out, or do you come? Nope, that one, no, you just go.
I just go, yeah. I think that's what it is. I mean, I am thinking about what I'm saying prior to me saying it. I think I just already think about it prior, and that's why
Deep.
I just point on it. Yeah, I don't know.
That's wild.
No, I feel like it's a bad trait. I'm trying to get better at slowing down to.
Yeah, but for who?
I don't know.
I know, exactly, for who? I mean, the only time would be basically with work because
Some of my elder patients, I try to
yeah.
I'll say my whole spill and they'll be like, what? And I'm like, what part didn't you
They'll
hear?
be like, slow it down. I'm like, okay.
Let me check my hearing.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's bad. I'm sorry. If you have those kind of problems, I have those kind of problems. I have to. Yeah. Anyways, see, rant. See, this is kind of. Right here. All right. So, food. Let's talk about that. You're saying you have certain problems. You aren't. You can't eat certain things, or you'll have certain reactions. And is that just because of you, or is it because of life and getting stressed out and all that kind of stuff?
So I feel like I've been battling with an autoimmune issue for the past, I would say 9-10 years, and they haven't found a specific diagnosis.
Who's they?
Well, doctors. I've been to so many doctors.
Bro.
We've done so much blood work. We've done so many tests, and it's always like, you're fine, you're normal, you're good, you're young. And I'm like, well, does that mean I'm good? I'm invincible? Okay. But I'm like, I don't feel good, but you guys keep telling me I'm good. And so I just got to a point where I was over it. I'm like, well, whatever. If they're telling me I'm good, then I'm just going to be good.
Yeah.
It wasn't until my last relationship, again, the one that we would be constantly competition and that. I got to the point where I was so stressed that my body ended up I think my anxiety, because I didn't express it, so I kept it all in, so it was like a balloon. And my anxiety just overtook so much to where my body just gave out. And
you have anxiety?
I do.
No.
Yeah, I was actually just told this last year, and I'm like, you're a liar. I'm fine. Well, you have anxiety. Because I felt like it was a bad label. I don't know if it's a culture thing or more of just a society thing. It's when you have anxiety, it's just oh, well, you can't function with life. And I didn't want to be labeled like that, because to me, I'm like, I'm good. I'm successful. I have the things that I want. Like, what do you mean? Like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize I've always had anxiety. It's just I dealt with it, and maybe not in the most healthiest ways. But it got to the point to where it ended up affecting my body. So it just
You're like,
yeah, pretty much. And so I didn't eat for a week.
A week? What, like
couldn't eat like at
like
all.
Food.
Yeah, couldn't eat food. I was just nauseous all the time. I had to still work, so then I went to the ER, and they were just like, well, I don't know, maybe you have an ulcer, maybe you have this. So they ran tests. $4,000 later, no results, and I was like, oh, okay. They're like, you have ingestion. I was like, that's what we're saying. I was like, wow. I was like, okay, cool.
You should pick a different doctor.
I've been to so many. Like, I feel like I've been to the best. I went to, like, I even switched, because I had to pay for my own insurance. I switched paying $450 a month just because I could go to UCSD. Nothing. Like, we found nothing. So then I went to therapy because, again, my last relationship, I was trying to save it. So, no, I was trying to save my relationship because we sucked at communicating. So I was like, all right, maybe a therapist will, like, help us communicate. And the moment we went in there, I think our second session, she's all, you have anxiety. I was like, what? And I was like, no, I don't.
You do.
Yeah, and then the moment that, my ex was like, oh, see, you're the problem. And I'm like, wait.
Oh, and then it blew up.
Then it blew up. But it's been good because then I've been going to therapy for a year and a half. So it's definitely helped out and really make me aware of my anxiety and how to comment and, check in with my feelings. So
I also do therapy. So, yeah. It's a thing, you have a lot of people, oh, it's a shrink.
Yeah, or it's not going to work. Yeah.
Well, you got problems. You need therapy. If you have a certain person, a friend who can kind of hush their mouths and just have it to them, perfect, right?
Right.
I'm sure that's probably helped.
Yeah, I just feel like if you're comfortable enough to talk, it's just about being comfortable, I think, and being able to vent. I think with the therapy, it just kind of helps a little more because obviously they specialize in that, but they can kind of pull things out of you that you don't want to be pulled out, but they need to be pulled out. So once they're said, you're like, okay, actually, I didn't even know that was an issue. There it is. And so they kind of guide you to, be more aware. Because for me, I didn't realize a lot of my childhood, you end up making these grooves in your brain. And so whatever you did, like say, for example, when you're 7 and you survived you forward, growing up now, being 32, you're like, well, it worked when I was 7. I'm good now. But it's like you have new tools. You don't. What you have when you're 7, that was great. But now what you have at 32, let's use those tools. Like that was great. But let's, you got to create new, grooves in your brain to now act this way versus this way.
Yeah, evolve, adapt, and keep moving on.
Right.
Yeah, that's
right.
Smart. So, what about you? Thankful you went a rant
Sorry.
right there. No,
sorry.
She's like,
I keep quiet now. I'll drink my water.
I'm a little dry.
You talking all fast.
No, it's fine. Easy. All right. So, how are you in food? Or you're just like, I don't care what I eat. Or
no.
are you on a strict?
I'm not on a strict diet.
You're getting swolled over there.
I'm trying. It's a hard process.
I know. There's always
there's difficult challenges. It's hard to cut back, but I'm not on a specific diet or anything like that. I'm choosing to eat better, healthier, less like eating out. I'm trying to limit on the drinking. Obviously, don't do that during the week anymore. It's a weekend thing.
Oh, you were doing it 7 days?
No, not 7 days, but like
6. No.
No, not 7 days, but like the occasional dinner during the week, and you'll have like a drink or two. And I don't do that no more. It's strictly for the weekend. But no, I'm not a crazy drinker either. But I just try to eat more healthy.
Yeah. Try
to eat 3 times a day, snacks in between, hydrate. But I mean, I don't think I have any internal problems. Only
become like special instructions.
Yeah, I feel like I'm healthy as a horse.
Yeah.
But I mean, there is certain things that like obviously upset my stomach, like Taco Bell. Del Taco.
So wait, like you eat that and
yeah, and it's
and you have the runs or what?
It's ruined.
Oh shit!
It's ruined. My stomach hurts. Like, but it's so good. Like McDonald's is my jam.
Oh,
I cannot have that.
I'll die if I eat that.
Really?
I'll die.
Oh, the French fries though.
I know it's so good.
Yeah, because it's salt and sugar.
So it's so good.
But no. That's it. Like, basically.
You got problems. Christian mix. But that's why.
No, yeah, I have gluten, dairy, wheat, and corn sensitivity. So I can't. I'm like a rabbit.
You can just like eat water
Yeah.
and have it sparkle and you'll be
water
good.
and protein.
No, I'm kidding.
That's about it.
Yeah, that's intense. So, who have you kind of went and seen about certain things that you can eat, you know, because I'm sure that there are some people out there who can't eat certain foods or they'll blow up or, you know, get hives or whatever.
So after I went to the ER when that whole scenario happened, I went back to my primary to follow up to let her know, hey, I went to the ER, they didn't find anything. So he's like, well, let's do a sensitivity test. Maybe, you know, you're sensitive or allergic to something. So I said, okay. So I went to go do the sensitivity, and that's when it came back. And he's like, oh, you have a real high sensitivity to gluten, wheat, corn, and dairy. And I was like, well, what can I eat? I was like, so, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And so he's like, well, honestly, go on a paleo diet. Do that for a month and see how you feel.
Okay.
And I was like, okay. So I did that for a month. I felt semi-better. I felt maybe like out of the week, 3 days better.
Okay.
But it wasn't a consistent thing. And so it just got frustrating because, one, it's super expensive being on that diet. When you have to buy gluten-free bread, like, it's $7 for just a loaf.
But
it only lasts 3 days. So you gotta eat it in 3 days, so then not it goes bad.
It lasts 3 days?
Yeah, and so when you're the only one eating, like me and her with our groceries, like she can't help me eat it because she's not on that diet. Nor do I want her. Like, it is the driest bread. Like, I don't recommend it. Like, it is horrible. Like, Jersey Mike has gluten-free, and people are like, and they're like, oh, is it for preference or like diet restrictions? I'm all, people eat this for a choice? Like, I would not. I was like, why?
Yeah.
And so yeah, it just completely changed food for me because I love food. Like, I'm a foodie. Like, I love different kinds of foods.
Yeah.
I love cheese. I like all, and that all got taken away from me in the matter of like quickly. And I was like, oh, and I was like, so we can't do that. And then I got to the point, I think last year, I was like over it. I was like, you know what? I'm doing this stupid diet.
I want
It's not
McDonald's.
working. I did. I went ham for a month.
You're done.
I died.
Oh.
I died. I went ham and then I died. I'm like, okay, never
Don't
mind.
go in the bathroom. Oh my god. No.
Yeah. It got pretty. And then I was like, okay, I guess it's a real thing. I thought it was a lie.
Maybe I should tone it down
Yeah,
a
so I
bit.
was like,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. Living on the edge.
Yeah, and you almost died. That's not worth it.
I realize that now. I realize that after the fact.
She's detoxing now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I hope so. That's no joke. So for you guys, you would say, you know, I would say in life works, it is all right to go out and seek help
As far as
for therapy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's always the scariest part is to ask for help. The scariest part is to try to find someone to go to. Like I said, I honestly would have never done therapy in my life if it wasn't for my ex. Like, I wouldn't have gone to go see somebody because in my mind I was like, I'm functioning, I'm successful, I got good things, like I'm good. Like, why do I need to see somebody? Like, whatever I've done in my past, obviously it's worked, so why do I need to go see somebody?
Yeah.
But again, it wasn't until she's like, you have anxiety, and I was like, what? So we had one-on-one sessions, and it wasn't until we kind of started diving in that I was like, oh, I guess there's a lot of things I was holding in and I didn't realize, or I don't know how to communicate, or maybe I do want to be better in my relationships with friends or just a future relationship, and I need to learn how to communicate within myself and with others. So I was like, oh, I didn't realize that because I've only seen unhealthy and I thought that was healthy. And it wasn't until I recognized that, oh no, that's not healthy and that's not okay behavior, and now I need to switch my view of how I see it. Like, okay, like that's worked for them or that's how they want it to live, but it's not how I want to live. And it's not how I want to do things. And
So who's the well, like I would see how certain people are. Who was that?
I think for me it was mainly my family.
Okay.
Love them to death. I was just always kind of their backbone in a sense, I felt. And I feel like that's why it motivated me to kind of get my own place, because I just felt like, not that they're definitely not toxic. They're very, like, I would choose them over and over again to be my family. But it was just like I had to learn how to separate myself from them, because it just came to the point to where, like, again, their unhealthiness to me was normal. And so I kept going to relationship thinking that that's how it's supposed to be. Like, it works out. Like, eventually it all works out. You show somebody so much love, eventually they'll have to love you back. Eventually they'll have to do right by you.
Yeah.
But it never works out that way.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I was like, oh, I have to actually gain confidence in myself, because how am I supposed to expect somebody to love me if I don't even love me? So how do I expect somebody else to fill those gaps if I can't even fill them myself?
So mainly it's you first. You're like, okay, I want to do me, right? And then be like, okay, now I will be out there and be like, oh, I'm okay. I'm open now to.
Right. And I think it's important to, like, set those boundaries too. And I was horrible. I was like Betty Spaghetti.
Boundaries.
There was no boundaries. I'm like, okay, we'll stretch it this way, stretch it that way.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I'm like, it's okay to say no. It's okay to tell somebody I love you, but no. And I had to. That was a very
It's
hard
like,
trigger for me.
Mom, no, I'm good. Oh, hey, you know, like, I don't speak Spanish, obviously, but I'm sure it's intense, right?
Well, I don't know. I don't speak Spanish either, so.
You don't speak Spanish? No, I'm kidding. Well, look at. Well, she's Hispanic. She's just. No, I was kidding. Easy. Like you gotta like out there. Like no, you don't speak Spanish either. No.
Selena.
Dave, will you just? I put her on blast like that.
No, well,
Selena?
she didn't speak Spanish either. She sang it, didn't speak it. That's my life. I can't sing it. Maybe I can sing it. I can read it.
I do it right now. Try.
Okay. Como la flor.
Oh shit. Okay. All right. So how about you, Rocio?
In what?
You know, just I guess like in life, like about stress and anxiety and all that kind of stuff.
I haven't sought any help. I believe therapy 100%. I believe everyone should go to it. I just haven't had the opportunity to do it. Nothing against it. I just have not gone. But I do carry some anxiety from time to time.
Like on what certain things?
Just like I just get anxious. It's either before doing something.
A little
Like,
hike here on the podcast.
You like
she was like, I'm not on this. I'm like, yeah, you got her as the homie. You know, she could be, yeah.
It's because it's something new. It's something different. Something I haven't done. Basically, that's where it gets triggered. Most of the time, and then the nightly anxiety, or like it could be
nightly of what?
Nightly anxiety, just like your thoughts are racing and you're thinking about something, and it just takes off,
Interesting.
Or there's like you're in situations with either family or friends, and it's not either going good or it's like some type of conflict.
Yeah. And
then that's when my anxiety will flare up as well, because I'm either thinking too much and it's just very uncomfortable, basically. But it's not like all the time, but it does happen. And how I alleviate that, obviously, is moving the body, working out, spin class.
Shred it out.
Yeah, doing stuff like that.
Reads a lot too.
What happened?
You read a lot.
I read a lot too, yeah.
Oh, you're a reader.
I'm a reader, yes. It takes my mind out of my head. Like, it takes me out of my head and into something different. And it feels good.
So up to a point, as you read, you're there. So of course, if you have like, say, like bills and life going on, you're like, I don't even worry about that. You're just kind of zoned in. Is kind of how you kind of
distract yourself.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, like for me, I don't get, I guess, I get like super stressed out or, all that kind of stuff. Of course, I have speech problem, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, just go. I don't care up to a point on what certain, whoever think, if they're like, oh yeah, speech problem, okay. So?
Yeah.
Like, what's up?
Whatever.
And then.
How can I help you?
Yeah. And then, of course, you got people who I guess, so you got a lot of people that watch this who also have a speech problem, which why I'm somewhat on this, but to help them out by me being on here, being out of my comfort zone, which I don't really have it. I do, but I don't care for it so much. But yeah, hopefully either speech or just in life, how you had to, not be a mom and dad and actually, you not be out so much at the clubs or all that kind of stuff, to actually kind of look back and like save money because you already look forward. You're like, oh, this sucks. I don't want to be here with mom and dad for the rest of my life.
I mean, dinner was cooked every night. It
Oh.
was kind of nice, but I do miss that.
Yeah,
I think we all do.
We all those were good times.
Me too.
Now we eat at like 9 o'clock at night.
That's too late.
Oh,
No, I
yeah,
was kidding. I eat at like 11. It's bad. So yeah, for whoever's out there who's like, oh, I'm stressed out, and all this, seek help, seek therapy. You know, you have a lot of older people who are like, no, I can't learn anything new. It's like, you're human, you can always learn something new.
Right.
Yeah, but you have to be open to it.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
like for you, you had to, I guess, learn from who you were around, who you were getting kind of, hey, there's certain things you can't do. It's kind of how you had to kind of, oh, I do have anxiety, I got problems, you know. You have all this problems.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No one's perfect.
No. Yeah. Absolutely.
Nope. Mm-mm.